Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we're looking at the Department of Ecology, State of Washington, at the health effects of arsenic and lead. Now these are two of the most dangerous heavy metals, along with mercury, and they can definitely cause a lot of health problems, issues, especially in young children. So let's take a look at how they affect you, how you can be exposed, where you can determine the types of health problems, how you can test even blood levels for children, and some additional information to know. So first, arsenic and lead are toxic metals and can be harmful to humans, especially children. They pollute the soil in many parts of Washington near former smelters and old orchards where lead arsenate and pesticide was used. And while arsenic does occur naturally, there is organic forms of it. The inorganic is much more harmful, and that's created by industrial activities. They can be found in products used in our daily lives. So even if you're not necessarily next to a factory per se, or an industrial plant, or someplace that's manufacturing, it can still be in products you're using, food you're eating, and water you're drinking. Sources of lead include old paint, gasoline, and lead plumbing. Arsenic can be found in pressure-treated wood and pesticides. Now, these are harmful, but long-term exposure is the issue because you can't see, you can't taste, you can't smell, you can't pick up on arsenic and lead, especially when they're in the water. So long-term exposure and increased risk. Arsenic and lead in soil do not pose an immediate health risk. So they can be in soil, but they're not necessarily going to harm you. But if they're in your water, that's much more dangerous. However, long-term exposure increases the risk of certain health problems, and there's different ways to protect yourself and your family. You can just practice different healthy actions by making sure that you're alleviating the amount that you're exposed to. But how are you exposed to arsenic and lead? See, arsenic and lead are not absorbed through the skin. You can be exposed to arsenic and lead by swallowing or inhaling amounts of contaminated soil. And this includes activities such as eating with dirty hands, putting dirty fingers in your mouth, also drinking water with arsenic and lead. Young children are more at risk than adults, and they're more sensitive because their bodies are smaller and still growing. Also, they normally put their fingers and other things in their mouth, even if they are dirty. So what determines the type of health problems that may occur? The amount of contamination to which a person is exposed, the length of time they're exposed, individual sensitivity to harmful effects of the contamination, and where can you test your children's blood levels. You can contact your pediatrician or healthcare provider and definitely follow up with them. You can also find information here about arsenic in drinking water, and lead in different FAQs, which you can take a look at. The bottom line is that if you're exposed to these, long term, it can have a lot of health problems. That's especially for children. And the problem is, it's not something you can see, taste, or touch, or actually smell. So you wouldn't know if it's in your water supply, you wouldn't know if it's in your food supply. Now there's some ways to mitigate it if it's in your food supply, but your water you're not going to know. That's why it's always a good idea to periodically test your water for any level of lead or arsenic.